looks like, and again, how that's impacted his life. And without further ado, I thank you for being here today and presenting,
Thank you, Jessica.
and for everything that you mean to us. And if you'll go ahead and let folks know who you are.
Okay, I'm going to actually just start and tell you a little bit about myself. My name's Steve Condry. I live in Montevallo, and I'm married to Samantha Webb, who's professor of English at the university there. I met Sam in 2001, and in 2002 we were married. At that time, I was a professor of public administration at the University of Georgia, so that set up a commuter marriage for about 8 years, a long commute. So we did that for 8 years. I retired in 2010. That same year, I was appointed by President Obama as the chairman of the Federal Salary Council that sets the locality rates for federal employees across the country. So that was quite an interesting thing. I also, when I finally kind of got back to Montevallo, really concentrated on my consulting business. I had started it in 1998. This is our 20th year. And so I was consulting all over the country. I was also, at that time, right in 2014 was the best year of my life. I was chairman of that council, traveling all over the world, and I was president of the American Society for Public Administration, which is a kind of a umbrella organization for public servants. Early 2015, I was on a consulting trip out to New Mexico and Colorado, and I felt a sinus infection coming on. And so I go to the doc in the box, and here's advice, free advice: don't go to one of those. He said, with the antibiotic I had, I'd be just fine. And so I didn't get fine. By the time I was home Sunday, I was very ill. I went to see my ENT on Monday, and he immediately sent me to UAB, to the emergency room. And I stayed there for 3.5 months. I had something called deep cavernous sinus thrombosis, which is basically a blood clot above your eyes. At that time, my vision was 20/20. And so I go in on January the 12th, a sepsis sets in, and by January the 13th, I do not have any sight. It's completely, as my very sensitive counselor at rehab services says, "Oh, you've got a complete blackout." Yeah, I've got a complete blackout. And so that was quite challenging. I was very ill, in and out of intensive care 4 times, and then went to rehab. And about the time I got out, I met Trent, and Trent has been my assistant ever since that time. And immediately I got out on April the 17th. On the 20th of April, I went to Voc Rehab, and they put me on, got me in touch with AIDB, and I got on the waiting list for assistive technology. And little did I know that what a wonderful person I was going to meet in Ennis Wheeler, who is the instructor in assistive technology. Ennis taught me how to use the computer again without sight through a program called JAWS, also using the iPhone. Learned how to use Word proficiently, Outlook for my emails so I can answer all my emails. He taught me how to do PowerPoint, and amazingly, Excel. I didn't know how to do Excel before I became blind, but somehow it has taught me to do that. But one thing I'll say, he was encouraging, and he really helped me. I tell Jessica, he saved my life. And I really think that, so the programs you have here are just wonderful. And I'm kind of a student of organizations, and I do personnel consulting. And Jessica runs a great place. This is a fine organization. You'll see it's a happy, healthy organization, and I would not have been able to return to work if it had not been for AIDB, and for Ennis, and for Jessica, and the training I received in assistive technology.
Activities, but maybe even enhance them. At what point did you turn the corner and go, I'm going to do the stuff I want to do?
I think Ennis told me that most people, excuse me if I get emotional, but he just crawled into a hole. And he said, "You're out here trying." And that was a turning point. And I realized I could do anything. And just that little bit of encouragement. And also my wife and also Trent have been, just essential, to my recovery. But I do feel like I'm doing a good job. I do contact work with cities and counties. Trent has helped me. We had a project with Troy University. Had a contract with the Department of Corrections. We went to 5 prisons around the state and talked to 200 correctional officers, came up with a new pay plan for them. That was an education, wasn't it, Trent?
Yes, it was.
So, yeah, I think those words of encouragement from Ennis and the teacher and assistant technology was really the turning point for me.
And Ennis could not be here today, and you'll see a few of our other staff as